Hello chess friends and welcome to Azarov's chess channel and welcome to my basics in chess series. So we are continuing with this middle game strategies with this recognition of the pawn structure, and we are doing again this Boleslavsky wall and how you should play as white against this Boleslavsky wall, which is this setup that I've already prepared you here. This is this so-called Boleslavsky wall, but the main idea here by black is this c6 d6 setup. These are these two pawns which are really restricting here this center squares in the center, and of course this is a perfect restriction against white's potential outposts, maybe of knights, bishops, and other pieces. So in my previous video I've already explained this potential king side attack with f4, and we'll do this Boleslavsky wall also as from black's perspective, because it's really important to see what are black's ideas here to play with this Boleslavsky wall. And basically there are many ideas here in the middle game, and the destructive game in this position that I wanted to show you, it's a game played by Alexander Wojtkiewicz against Julio Becerra Rivero. And the most important thing is that you, in this against this Boleslavsky wall, is to understand your opponent's threats. Well, your opponent's idea here in this types of position is maybe the move b5, which could be a really pawn breakthrough here on the queen side, and then after that black can maybe play here the move b4 and really gain some space. Then after that he can maybe fix the position with c5, and he will have a supported pawn on the fourth rank, which could be space advantage in long terms, and of course a better potential endgame for black. So that's why Alexander Wojtkiewicz understands this position very good, and he plays here the move a4. And you see, in order to get our ideas working, we have to prevent first our opponent's ideas. Here you see this a4 is really prophylactic move which prevents this potential b5. So now knight on e5 was played. Now b3, just fixing now this pawn structure. Again, black cannot play the move b5. So now we have here c5 by black, and this is the problem about this Boleslavsky wall from black's perspective. Okay, now after knight on e2, we have solved the problems maybe with this very nice knight on d4, because we had very nice central control with this knight on d4. But now we got new weaknesses. We have this d6 weakness, which was present in a couple of moves ago, but now we have also this d5 weakness, which could be a problem in long terms. And here after knight on c6, queen on d2 was played, and again a prophylactic move here by Wojtkiewicz, because he's not allowing black to occupy this very important d4 square. If black manages to do that, if he manages to fix the knight here on d4, maybe after c takes d4, he could get some space advantage on the fourth rank. And here again you see Alexander Wojtkiewicz understands the position here very well, and he plays queen on d2 in order to prevent this knight on d4 idea. Still, you see, black cannot play this very important b5, which could really be annoying if you allow this as white. So here rook on d8, but now knight on d5. Knight takes on d5, we have c takes d5, and now black has many options here. So here if of course knight on d4, then we can simply take and grab a pawn. If you try knight on e5, well, then you get this f4, and I've explained in my previous video in this Boleslavsky wall, we will simply use this pawn majority. We will then have this 5 on 4 situation on the king side, and we would then of course have a better space advantage, and we would simply kick away this knight, because the knight is forced to play here on unactive square here on d7. And now we have several options. We can maybe try to continue to push with the g4, maybe rook on e1, and try maybe in some moves with some preparation the move e5. So this could be really annoying for black here, because these pieces are really now crowded here, and this is not something that you want, this setup by pieces. So here, that's why after c takes d5, knight on b4 was played. And okay, now this knight is outposted here on b4, but it's really out of game, because it's really attacking nothing. It's just aiming into air here, and it's really not a problem to have such an outpost by your opponent, because this is not where the game is going on. You see, with this pawn majority, again, we have the possibility to push the move on f4. Here, bishop on g5, first played by Wojtkiewicz. This is also a very good move, because now f6 has to be played, and this f6 again weakens the king side even more. So now bishop on e3, and now b5. Now black managed to do his idea. He has this pawn breakthrough on the queen side, which is the main idea in the Boleslavsky wall as black, of course. And here knight on c3 by Wojtkiewicz was played, bishop on d7, and now f4. Now we again use this pawn majority. Here on the king side we have b takes a4, b takes a4, now rook on e8, now king on h2. Also an improvement of the position. This king is very well placed. It's not endangered here on h2. And again, we're searching maybe for a potential e5 pawn breakthrough, or maybe even f5, in order to get block out really this bishop, which is now inactive here, and it could be blocked out by its own pawn here on f6 if we manage to push the pawn on f5. Here c4 was played, now rook on b1, we have a5, now bishop on d4, knight on d3. Now you see black managed to fix the knight here on the third rank, but it's really not a problem, because now we have queen on a2 attacking this pawn on c4. We have rook on b4, rook takes on b4, a takes b4, and now queen takes on c4. You see, if we take, then of course we can take with the queen this knight on d3, and then after that the pawn on c3. This is of course then a winning endgame, because we will be simply 2 pawns up. But after knight on c5, the same thing. We have queen takes on b4, and now white is simply 2 pawns up in a very good game. So rook on a8, bishop takes on c5, we have d takes c5, and now queen on c4, and again we are searching for this potential e5 pawn breakthrough. If we manage to connect these two pawns here on d5 and e5, this will be really annoying for black to handle this very mobile pawn structure in the center. Queen on d6 was played, now rook on b1, g5, and now e5. Now you see we get this e5 with a tempo, f takes e5, but now knight on e4. The queen has to move. Here queen on a6, queen takes on a6, rook takes on a6, but now a very nice move, knight takes on c5. Of course the rook has to move here on a7, and now we have f takes g5, and here we have again a position 3-on-1 on the king side, in a potential endgame with just some pawns on the board. Of course white would be completely winning here. Bishop on f8 was played, knight takes on d7, rook takes on d7, but now a5, we have bishop on c5, a6, rook on a7. Now we have rook on c1 attacking the bishop, bishop on d4, but now rook on c6. We don't want to lose any pawns now in this position, because we have opposite colored bishops, and they often lead into drawish games. Of course we don't want to lose any pawns anymore. King on f7, bishop on e4, king on e8, and now h4. Now we want to get use of this pawn majority on the king side. As I said, here we want to create some pass pawn situation. Rook on f7, king on h3, king on d7, but now rook on h6. I hope you realize that this is completely winning for white, but let's see now the continuation. Rook on f2, we have rook takes on h7, king on d6, rook on h6, king on c5, rook on c6. Now the king has to move on b4 here, g6, and in this position black resigned, because we have here the blockade against this pawn, so there's no way that black can catch up with his pawn on g7, and we have of course 3 pawns here, and they're unstoppable for this rook and the bishop. Okay, I hope you realize these ideas. As I said, after here a very important move. It's a prophylactic move against this Boleslavsky wall. You should be familiar with it. It's a4. It's really preventing this potential b5 outpost. But you have, as I said, you have to think about your opponent's moves. Your weaknesses, of course, are this e4 and c4. In the continuation, you see Wojtkiewicz simply fixed here the c4 pawn, and then of course we can search maybe for our f4 idea, maybe with rook on e1 in some occasions. So that are the main strategical ideas to play against this Boleslavsky wall. So I hope you realize this idea. Meanwhile, you can watch my previous video with this white's play against this Boleslavsky wall with this early kingside attack, which really meets with this video. I think it's very important to watch these videos combined, and you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to see the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history, and you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.